Hey guys, and welcome to Saints TV. It is round 10. We have reached round 10. It feels like it's been a billion weeks, but it's only round 10, so we're almost halfway through the season. And we are at the G Saturday afternoon, 1:45, against the reigning premiers in Richmond. So it's going to be a very hard game. Every week for us is a very hard game. I've been kind of negative towards it for probably most of the week. I've kind of been feeling like this is the one week where I'm not even really that interested, and I'm like, do I even bother going to the game? And then should I just review it afterwards at my house and watch it on TV with the family or something? Is it worth going? But for the first time this year, I reckon I've actually looked at the ins and outs of the team, and I've actually kind of gotten a bit excited over it. I don't know why, but I really like the changes that Richo's made. I can't really remember them off the top of my head, but all I know is that Armitage has been omitted, Marshall is out, Caulfield has been rested, and we bring in the likes of Paddy McCartan, who's missed a couple of weeks. We bring in Jake Carlisle. That's going to be amazing. I feel like Jake Carlisle and Paddy, we've actually gone a bit taller than I'd expect, but we were very small last week, and we were missing that mark, sort of impact sort of player in the air, and we didn't have it. But we're going to have Logan Austin, who's also going to debut. He was at Port Adelaide and we picked him up in the off-season, and he's another big body in defence that could be really handy. It might even allow Carlisle to push up the ground, go forward, so the flexibility there is going to be great. Brandon White comes back, who killed it at Sandringham last week. He, in a poor performance for the team, he was best on ground and had, I think close to 30 odd possessions. And then, yes, I saw that Mackenzie, first game of the season, I believe, unless he played in round 1, but I can't remember. But Mackenzie gets a go, and he is a player that every time I see him play, he doesn't quite get to that potential. He doesn't quite play to that intensity that you really want him to get to, because I think he has all the tools to actually be a really good player. He's got good leg speed, he's young, he's a great overhead mark. Like, if you guys watch him close enough, he stretches and he marks that ball at the highest point, and for a shorter sort of guy, him playing forward, who will replace Mav Weller, who's gone out. He hurt himself at training, but he's gone out, which is disappointing, but I feel like that's an upgrade on Mav Weller. He's a good tackler, he can go into the midfield. These are good ins. Like, these are as good at ins as we could have asked for, to be honest, with some of the injuries we've got, some of the players we've got out that we won't get back. Jack Nunes obviously retained his position because he kicked 4 goals last week. Jack Loney retains his position. Ed Phillips retains his position. Bryce, all these youngsters are coming in and they're actually doing all right. So there's no reason dropping him. Hunter Clark finally doesn't get dropped the second he gets brought into the game, into the team. So I feel like, out of, the best case scenario, we've probably got something close to that. So I'm not going to be too disappointed. I'd love to hear your thoughts on the ins, and if anyone else missed. No one else I've heard has been really knocking the door down at Sandy. Obviously Freeman was, but we know that he did his shoulder and he's going to miss for the next 3 or 4 weeks. Ben Long's out for another 6 or 7 weeks. Josh Bruce he's eyeing a return in the next month. He's getting very close, so maybe in the next couple of weeks, unless it's, just after the bye to give him that extra bit of a rest. But I feel like we're playing a very good team, and they've brought in a few good players as well. But we just have to go for it now. We saw what we did last season, didn't we? Like, in that round 16-17 game, we were 82 points up at halftime. It was obviously at Etihad, so it's a different case when it's at the MCG, where Richmond have a phenomenal record, and I think they've won the last 14 or 15 there. Their only losses this season have been away from home in Adelaide and in Perth. So that's another thing. They've got a day less rest. I know that's probably an overrated thing that in terms of rest and whatnot, but a day less rest. They're coming back from Perth, hard game. I think it's upsetting because they lost. I feel like they're going to be very angry and they want to bounce back. If they had have won, I reckon we could have gotten them at a time where, they could have been complacent. They've beaten the top team in West Coast over there. They could probably be a bit fatigued coming back and maybe take us a bit easier than they'd like. But these ins have kind of excited me. I want to go and see Logan Austin play. I'm very keen to see how Daniel Mackenzie goes. Paddy McCartan a couple of years ago, if you guys remember, played on Alex Rance for a half, or quarter, kicked 3 on him, I think, and then he got concussed, and he was absolutely tearing Rance apart. So it's going to relieve Membry. He's going to be able to push up the ground a bit more, and then we can still have that stay-at-home player. It's not going to be just Membry pushing up, and then, like we saw last week a few times, he marks the ball, and then we have literally no other option up forward, and he has to bomb it to a pack that includes Gresham and Billings and Armitage. Not one of them is going to take a high over contested mark, and not one of them is really going to bring it to ground and keep it in our general vicinity. Billings is one that probably could have had a rest, but I feel like he's one of those players that you just have to back him in every week. And I mean, I'm kind of not going to bother talking about his performances because it feels like he can't play any worse than what he is. And he's got a heap of upside. So I feel like you just got to keep players like him in, and hopefully he builds his own confidence during the week in training, and then he can actually transition that onto a game day sort of situation. We'll go through some of these comments. I don't want to ignore you guys. Is there anyone else left that's not getting a chance, Grant reckons? I don't think so, based on Sandringham. They've had not a great start to the season in the VFL, quite a few losses, not a lot of players knocking the door down apart from the regulars in White and Rice. Battle, he hasn't dominated a game in the VFL, and I feel like the second he does that, that's when he's going to be considered. But Richo constantly says, no, we're not bringing him in because he knows he still needs to work on a few things. So behind the scenes, we don't know what that is, but it could be just defensive efforts. It could be his endurance. Maybe he can't run out a game in the VFL. He needs to get better at that in order to actually cope at AFL level, because his position in half forward is actually a very pressing one in terms of, going up to half back, pushing back inside 50. So it's not just a stay-at-home forward role. So that's something he needs to build. His tank might not be good enough at the moment. Darren says great ins. I agree, great ins. Meg Lewis says, what happened to Koff? Managed. Yeah, during the week they said that he's had a consistent run of maybe 4 or 5 games now. And he just needed a break. I feel like it's good. You don't want to wear out some of these players, particularly because he's been in such good form. I don't think you want to burn him out and just overuse him. I feel like having a week off would be good. I'd be surprised if he played for Sandy. I feel like maybe he'll get a couple of minutes there, if maybe none at all, and he'll just come to the game at the G and just sit in the box or sit in the crowd and just have a break. But I feel like he's deserved a rest. He's been really good. Do you think we should drop Billings? No point even talking about that, Peter. I think, like I said, I feel like he's just going to get a game every week until he actually hits the ground running. I feel like these sort of players, dropping him is probably not going to improve him in any way, and really not going to improve his confidence. He probably wants the coach to back him in and just say, go out there and play against the Premiers and have a big game. Carey says, Membry's due to kick some goals. No fucking doubt. I feel like he's kicked 1 goal 8 in 2 weeks. He can't kick any worse than this. And surely this week, if he can kick a few early, I feel like he just needs to kick 1 through the middle, dead in front, easy shot in the first quarter, and then his confidence will grow. And that's kind of like our whole team. I just want us to start well. Richmond are very good. Richmond are known to start quite slowly. It's their last quarters, particularly the last half of the game, the last half an hour, 40 minutes. They have killed teams. If you go by last quarter stats, I would not be surprised to see Richmond 10, 20 goals ahead of their opponents, because they did that against Collingwood. They've dominated against Freo. It was like 20 points at three-quarter time. They end up winning by like 80. They run games out. So that's something we haven't been good at. So it's going to be a massive test with them coming back off a loss and being pumped for this game, and them knowing that we got them big time last year. They obviously beat us in the last game of the season when Rio retired, but I reckon they know that we want to come out strong, and that's going to make them want to come out even stronger. Goddard, again, not knocking the door down, but not doing anything wrong. So I feel like Logan Austin's probably the one that he's probably had more of a consistent run years, at AFL level. So he's probably the better pick. Goddard, I don't think would be very far off. But if you got Carlisle back, I feel like that's why Goddard's not getting a go. If Carlisle didn't come back, I feel like maybe we would have had Austin and Goddard come in and just stabilise that defence, because we didn't have a lot of height there last week, which was exposed with Cox and DeGoey. But now we've got Logan Austin. Brown's out. We obviously know that. We lose a tall, but I feel like Logan Austin at fullback with Carlisle might have a bit more flexibility than a Brown. I feel like Austin apparently has good foot skills, can run off his man, take a good mark, and he's actually quite quick, which Brown isn't. So this might be a different sort of backline that we've seen. Johnny says, yes, drop Billings. He needs to know he has to perform, no lucky chances. David says, Saints by 67. I would Mate, I would donate to charity. I would donate $1,000 to charity if we win by 60. So don't quote me on that. But if we win by even 7 points, 6 points, 1 freaking point, I'd be over the moon. I haven't done a review yet after a win, a live review. I've done one for round 1, but that was kind of post-recorded. I would love to see the reception of just this if we actually win a game. I hate talking about all the negative stuff, but imagine, like, you know, me live streaming and the songs playing in the background, the MCG, the crowd going nuts. That'd be awesome. Johnny says, love the Insta this week. Pretty excited to see the new boys. I am too. Now they go. The boys are building, and this week I reckon Membry breaks his goal kicking hoodoo. It's been going all season for every player in our team, so hopefully this is the week. Last year in the Richmond game when we killed them, we actually kicked like 19 goals, 7 or 8. So we kicked very straight that day, and we haven't kicked straight since. So maybe this could be a turnaround, but it's going to be at the MCG. It could be a bit windy. It could be a bit wet. That might come into it as well. I don't know. If it's raining, if it's windy, does that favour us? Do you think the skill level, if it rains, drops obviously from a Richmond perspective, but that actually brings us into the game because our skills haven't been that high anyway, and it turns into more of a contested sort of scrummage, and that might be something that we could break even in. Michael says, love that Logan Austin is in, but I feel like we've gone too tall and he could be exposed by Richmond's small forwards. That's a good point. Richmond are known to not have a very tall forward line outside of Jack Riewoldt. So if we're going with Logan Austin and Carlisle, I mean, that's only really 2 talls. We still have Geary, we still have Webster, we've still got these blokes there that can do a good job. Caulfield we lose from that area, which is a bit annoying. But Brandon White comes in, and Rice. So they all look like they've got, that's 4 players there that aren't really over 6'2" and can play small and medium-sized forward. So I feel like we've got a good balance there, and I'm pretty happy with that. Ray says, we need a win. No doubt. Ian says, whatever David Elkin is on, I want some. Is there a chance we can get Captain America or Deadpool? Is that, did you guys hear about the Etihad Stadium? It's going to be renamed to Marvel Stadium or Marvel Arena, whatever it's called. I don't know what you think about that. It's going to be weird to say, all right, you know, we're playing at Marvel Stadium next week. That doesn't sound right, but it's a big deal for the AFL, and I wonder if it's going to make the club more money, you know, in terms of game day revenue, if we make more money from that, or it's going to be literally the same as if it was Etihad. But I'd be curious to know, because I know the AFL is going to make a lot of money from Disney. I feel like maybe we could, you know, have a say in what we get on match days. Sylvia says, please let us have a win. A lot of comments just saying, please win. Lance says, God, I can't run out 2 full quarters. Maybe that's why he's not going to be able to run out a AFL game. And Savage on the wing. That would be good. We've got Rice, we've got White, we've got Logan Austin, Carlisle, Webster, Geary. That's 6 there. You probably don't need Savage in the defence, and everyone's been calling for him to either be dropped or pushed up the ground. So there's a chance there that with 6 players that can play his role, that medium-sized defender, half-back flanker, back pocket sort of player, that he could be pushed up the ground, or even at maybe defensive forward. He could be a defensive forward. He's a big kick. He's a straight kick. He's a good mark. He's quick and he can tackle. We saw what happened with Jack Nunes last week. We took him out of that position, put him forward. He kicked 4 goals too. Maybe a similar experiment could be done with Savage. I know Richmond don't have the tallest defence, so maybe putting someone like that that's kind of mobile, that can play a bit smaller and a bit taller, could be something we could surprise them with. 1 win, no draws. I'll take another draw anyway. Where's Longer? Longer, I feel like I was surprised that he didn't come back in this week, but I think that the fact that we brought in Logan Austin and the fact that we brought in Jake Carl and Paddy McCartan, you can't bring in Billy Longer. That's a lot of tools on top of what we already have, and that, like you said, or like someone said before, playing Richmond, you have to have a good balance of smalls and talls, because they're very small and they're very nimble. They tackle relentlessly, they're fast, they handball. And they've got Dustin Martin, the best player in the game. So it's going to be very interesting. Who do you guys think we should put on Dusty? Do we tag him? Do we put a Jack Steele on him? Do we go head-to-head and put Seb Ross? I think last season we put Seb Ross on him, and Seb Ross kept him to 16 or 17 possessions, and Seb Ross had about 35 on him. So maybe that's a similar sort of thing we can go with again. David says, Richmond have a small forward line, so Austin will have to play on Riewoldt, 100%. Michael says, is it just me, or do we get more concussions than any other team while they're getting concussed at training? I feel like that, maybe it's a bit unlucky, but also, you know, the medical staff of all the AFL teams more onto this than ever before, based on like recent events and, you know, the concussion test coming into play and players having to wait 15-20 minutes to come back on the ground after they've had a test. So I feel like there's just more attention on it. It's probably players been in similar positions every other year, but we haven't had that sort of focus on it and a lot of the health risks about it being documented. So especially with Paddy McCartan, so I feel like there's just more focus. I feel like it's no different to any other year. Daniel says we need a bloke that can play like the G-Train, just stay at home and lead out. G-Train, I did post and you guys shared it. It's got like 500 likes, like 300 comments. The G-Train kicked 10 in 06 and I was there at the G and we won by 103 points. So those times were good. Clinton Jones on Martin. He was a great tacker. Jack Stephen Dunstan on Dusty could be interesting. And Dave says, you should be the new coach. Yeah, I probably need more credentials. I feel like Richo's got me in that department. He's had experience. He's played AFL. He's been assistant coach. So, yeah, that's not going to happen anytime soon. But I'm glad that you guys like my insights. And it's kind of just a supporter perspective. But, yeah, it's good fun. I have to head off now, though. So keep your comments coming on this. Again, just want to reiterate that I'm really happy with the ins. I'm going to be there on Saturday. I've got footy in the morning, but I'll be there and then I'll obviously do my review after the game as soon as I can get home and do it because I won't have my car with me. But if it's a win, I'll do it at the game and I'll be stoked. But if it's a loss, I'll probably just come home and do it as is. But as always, love you guys commenting. The page is growing so much. I check it at work and there's just comment after comment and they're all really good comments. You guys know your stuff. So this is what I like about this page is it's getting everyone to not just like and share, but we're commenting and actually talking about the club that we love. So yeah, I love it. And just keep the comments coming and I guess I'll see you guys after the game on Saturday. Again, we're playing Richmond, 1:45 MCG. Go Saints. See you guys.